Right now, as you watch this, fatty deposits are building up inside the walls of your arteries. They have been building for years. They build silently, without pain, without warning. And in adults over 60, they are the #1 cause of heart attack and stroke on the planet. But here is what most people are never told. Published research now shows that specific foods can slow that buildup, stabilize the deposits that are already there, and in some cases begin to reverse the damage. Not medications, not surgery, foods you can buy in any grocery store this afternoon. Heart disease kills more than 17.9 million people worldwide every single year. It is the leading cause of death in every developed country on Earth. And the process that drives it, atherosclerosis, the gradual clogging of your arteries with plaque, begins decades before a heart attack ever happens. By the age of 60, virtually every adult has some degree of plaque buildup. The question is not whether you have it. The question is whether you are feeding it or fighting it. I am Dr. William Carter. Today I am counting down 7 specific foods, ranked from powerful to genuinely extraordinary, that published cardiovascular research says can help protect and clean your arteries naturally. And the #1 food on this list has the strongest clinical trial evidence of any food ever studied for heart protection. It is something you probably already have in your kitchen, and most people do not use nearly enough of it. I am saving that one for last. Now, I want to be clear from the start about what science actually says here, because there is a lot of misinformation online. No single food can flush your arteries clean like a drain cleaner. That is not how biology works. Plaque that has formed becomes part of the artery wall. But what published research does show is that specific foods can slow plaque progression, reduce the inflammation that makes plaque dangerous, stabilize existing plaque so it is less likely to rupture, and in some cases, modestly reduce plaque volume over time. That may sound less dramatic than a miracle cure, but in cardiovascular medicine, slowing progression and stabilizing plaque is exactly how lives are saved. Heart attacks happen not because plaque exists, but because unstable plaque ruptures. Keeping plaque stable is the goal, and food can do that. Everything I share today is general wellness information grounded in published research. It is not medical advice. Never stop or change prescribed medication without consulting your doctor. The studies I reference are linked in the description. Before we begin, tell me in the comments, has anyone in your family had a heart attack or stroke? And how old are you? Your answer matters, and I read every comment on this channel. Now, let us count down. Food number 7, green tea. Coming in at number 7, and this one works through a mechanism most people have never heard of. Green tea. Specifically, the compound in green tea called EGCG, or epigallocatechin gallate. Here is the problem EGCG solves. One of the most dangerous steps in the clogging of your arteries is not the cholesterol itself. It is what happens to the cholesterol once it gets inside the artery wall. LDL cholesterol, the so-called bad cholesterol, becomes truly dangerous only when it is oxidized, meaning it is chemically damaged by free radicals. Oxidized LDL triggers an inflammatory cascade that attracts immune cells, forms foam cells, and builds the plaque that narrows your arteries. EGCG in green tea is one of the most potent natural inhibitors of LDL oxidation ever studied. A meta-analysis of 14 randomized trials found that green tea supplementation significantly reduced both LDL cholesterol and total cholesterol. Large population studies from Japan, where green tea consumption is part of daily life, have found that people who drink 3 to 5 cups daily have significantly lower rates of cardiovascular mortality compared to non-drinkers. 3 to 5 cups per day is the target. Choose loose leaf or high-quality bagged green tea. Avoid sweetened bottled versions, which are loaded with sugar and contain a fraction of the beneficial compounds. Brew it fresh and drink it throughout the day. If the taste is too bitter for you, a squeeze of lemon actually enhances the absorption of catechins. And timing matters. Drinking green tea between meals rather than with meals allows for better antioxidant absorption. Green tea slows the process at its earliest and most dangerous stage. But the next food fights what is already building inside your artery walls. Food number 6, garlic. Number 6 is garlic, and the research on garlic and arterial health goes back decades. But the recent findings are what make it truly remarkable. Garlic contains a sulfur compound called allicin that is released when the clove is crushed or chopped. Allicin has powerful anti-inflammatory, anti-clotting, and cholesterol-lowering properties. A meta-analysis of 39 clinical trials found that garlic supplementation reduced total cholesterol by an average of 17 milligrams per deciliter and lowered blood pressure by 5 to 8 points in people with hypertension. But here is the finding that cardiologists find most interesting. Studies have shown that regular garlic consumption can help prevent calcium deposits from forming in the coronary arteries. Calcium deposits are what turn soft, unstable plaque into hard, permanent plaque. By slowing calcification, garlic helps keep arterial plaque in a state where the body has a better chance of managing and even reducing it over time. For maximum benefit, crush or chop fresh garlic and let it sit for 10 minutes before cooking. That waiting period allows allicin to fully activate. Most people make the mistake of dropping minced garlic straight into a hot pan, which destroys the allicin before it has a chance to form. Crushing it first and waiting is the single most important preparation step. 1 to 2 cloves per day added to meals is the evidence-based target. If you cannot tolerate raw or cooked garlic, aged garlic extract supplements have the most consistent research backing for cardiovascular benefit. Garlic works on cholesterol and calcification. But the next food fights plaque through an entirely different mechanism, one that rebuilds the artery wall itself from the inside. Food number 5, walnuts. Number 5 is walnuts, and among all the nuts available to you, walnuts stand apart for one specific reason. They are the richest nut source of alpha-linolenic acid, a plant-based omega-3 fatty acid that directly improves the function of the cells lining your artery walls. Those cells are called endothelial cells, and they form the innermost layer of every artery in your body. Healthy endothelial cells keep arteries flexible, regulate blood pressure, and prevent plaque from adhering to the artery wall. When endothelial function declines, which it does progressively after 60, arteries stiffen, blood pressure rises, and plaque accumulates faster. Walnuts help restore that endothelial function. They also lower LDL cholesterol, raise HDL cholesterol, and reduce the inflammation inside the artery wall that accelerates plaque growth. A small handful daily, roughly 20 to 30 grams, is all you need. Eat them raw or lightly toasted. Avoid candied or heavily salted versions, which add sugar and sodium that work against arterial health. You can add them to Greek yogurt, sprinkle them on salads, or simply eat them as an afternoon snack. The key is consistency. The endothelial benefits of walnuts build over weeks of regular consumption, not from a single handful. Think of walnuts as daily maintenance for the inner lining of your arteries. They keep the walls flexible and resistant to plaque adhesion. But the next food does not just maintain the lining, it actively opens blood vessels that plaque has been quietly closing for years. Food number 4, leafy greens. Number 4 is dark leafy greens, specifically spinach, kale, arugula, and Swiss chard. And the mechanism here is one we have covered before on this channel, but in the context of arterial health, it takes on a new level of importance. Leafy greens are loaded with dietary nitrates that your body converts into nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is the molecule that tells your blood vessels to relax and open. When nitric oxide levels are high, arteries dilate, blood flows more freely, and blood pressure drops. When nitric oxide levels fall, which they do significantly after 60, arteries constrict, blood pressure rises, and the conditions that promote plaque buildup intensify. Think of nitric oxide as the lubricant that keeps your entire vascular system running smoothly. Without it, everything tightens, everything hardens, and plaque finds more places to stick. But here is what makes leafy greens particularly powerful for people with existing plaque. Even if an artery is partially narrowed, increased nitric oxide production can dilate the remaining open space, improving blood flow through the narrowed section. You are not removing the plaque with spinach, you are improving the flow around it, reducing the pressure on the artery wall, and creating an environment where the plaque is less likely to rupture. And it is ruptured plaque, not the plaque itself, that causes most heart attacks. A stable plaque that sits quietly in the artery wall can be lived with for decades. An unstable plaque that ruptures can kill in minutes. Leafy greens help keep plaque stable. 2 cups of leafy greens daily is the target. Cook them in olive oil to maximize absorption of the fat-soluble compounds. And if you have been paying attention, you already know that olive oil is going to appear later on this list. That pairing is not accidental. These foods are designed to work together. If this information is already shifting how you think about heart health, tap the like button right now. It takes 1 second, and it helps this video reach the people who need it most. Now, number 3. And this one has an almost mythological reputation in cardiovascular research. Food number 3, pomegranate. Number 3 is pomegranate, and the research behind this fruit and arterial health is genuinely extraordinary. Pomegranate contains a concentration of antioxidants, specifically a group called punicalagins, that is higher than almost any other fruit, including blueberries, acai, and red wine. Here is what those antioxidants do inside your arteries. They reduce oxidative stress in the artery wall, which is one of the primary drivers of plaque formation. They improve nitric oxide production, which relaxes blood vessels and lowers blood pressure. And in several studies, pomegranate juice has been shown to help reduce carotid artery plaque thickness over time. That last point is worth pausing on. We are not talking about slowing plaque growth. We are talking about published research showing measurable reduction in plaque that was already there. The carotid arteries, the ones in your neck that feed blood to your brain, are among the most critical arteries in your body, and pomegranate appears to help clear them. There is also evidence that pomegranate protects LDL cholesterol from oxidation, similar to green tea but through a different chemical pathway. When multiple foods fight the same problem through different mechanisms, the combined effect is greater than either food alone. That is why pomegranate and green tea together are more powerful than either one by itself. You are attacking LDL oxidation from 2 fronts simultaneously. 1 glass of pure pomegranate juice daily, roughly 8 ounces, or eating the seeds of half a fresh pomegranate is the target. When buying juice, choose 100% pomegranate juice with no added sugar. The sugar would counteract many of the cardiovascular benefits. Read the label carefully because many pomegranate juice products are blended with cheaper juices like apple or grape and contain only a fraction of actual pomegranate. If fresh pomegranates are in season, the seeds themselves are even more powerful because they contain the fiber and additional nutrients that juice alone does not provide. Pomegranate fights plaque that has already formed. But the next food, number 2, attacks arterial inflammation from every direction at once, and the clinical evidence behind it changed modern cardiology. Food number 2, wild-caught fatty fish. Number 2 is wild-caught fatty fish, specifically salmon, mackerel, and sardines. And the evidence for omega-3 fatty acids and cardiovascular protection is among the strongest in all of nutrition science. EPA and DHA, the 2 primary omega-3 fatty acids in fatty fish, attack atherosclerosis from multiple directions simultaneously. They reduce triglycerides, a type of blood fat that contributes to plaque buildup. They lower blood pressure. They reduce the inflammatory markers, specifically C-reactive protein and interleukin-6, that drive plaque growth inside the artery wall. And they help stabilize existing plaque, making it less likely to rupture and cause a heart attack or stroke. That last point deserves emphasis because it is one of the most important concepts in modern cardiology. The danger of plaque is not the blockage itself. Most heart attacks do not happen because an artery slowly closes to zero. They happen because a piece of unstable plaque suddenly ruptures. A blood clot forms on the rupture site, and the clot blocks the artery completely in a matter of minutes. Omega-3 fatty acids change the composition of plaque, making it more fibrous and stable, less inflamed, and less likely to crack open. It is the difference between a wall that stands firm and a wall that crumbles at the first shake. Fatty fish strengthens that wall. The REDUCE-IT trial, one of the largest cardiovascular outcome studies ever conducted, found that high-dose EPA supplementation reduced major cardiovascular events by 25% in high-risk patients who were already on statin therapy. 25% on top of what statins were already doing. That is an extraordinary result, and it came from an omega-3 fatty acid. 2 to 3 servings of wild-caught fatty fish per week is the evidence-based target. Wild-caught is important because farmed fish has a dramatically different omega-3 to omega-6 ratio that reduces the anti-inflammatory benefit. Sardines and mackerel are often overlooked, but are among the richest omega-3 sources available, and are typically more affordable than salmon. Canned sardines are perfectly effective, making this one of the most budget-friendly heart-protective foods you can buy. If you eat fish, this is the one to prioritize. If you do not eat fish, a high-quality fish oil supplement providing at least 1,000 milligrams of combined EPA and DHA daily is the next best option, though whole food is always preferred. And now, number 1. The food I told you about at the very beginning. The food with the strongest clinical trial evidence of any food ever studied for cardiovascular protection. The food most people already have in their kitchen, but do not use nearly enough of. Stay with me because this is the single most important thing I will say in this entire video. Food. Number 1. Extra virgin olive oil. Number 1 is extra virgin olive oil. And the reason it sits at the top of this list is not opinion or tradition. It is the result of the PREDIMED trial, one of the most important nutrition studies ever conducted in the history of cardiovascular medicine. The PREDIMED trial followed over 7,400 adults at high cardiovascular risk for nearly 5 years. The group randomized to a Mediterranean diet, supplemented with extra virgin olive oil, roughly 4 tablespoons per day, experienced a 30% reduction in major cardiovascular events, including heart attack, stroke, and cardiovascular death, compared to the control group. Let me put that number in context. A 30% reduction in events is comparable to what many statin medications achieve, and this result came from a food. The results were so dramatic that the trial was stopped early because the researchers considered it unethical to continue withholding the intervention from the control group. That is an extraordinarily rare event in clinical research, and it tells you everything you need to know about how seriously the medical community takes these findings. Here is the biology of why olive oil is so effective. Extra virgin olive oil contains over 30 distinct polyphenols, plant compounds that collectively fight arterial disease from every angle. Oleocanthal acts as a natural anti-inflammatory, inhibiting the same enzymes as ibuprofen. Hydroxytyrosol protects LDL cholesterol from the oxidation that turns it dangerous. The monounsaturated fats improve the ratio of HDL to LDL cholesterol. And the polyphenols improve endothelial function, the health of the artery lining itself. No other single food has this combination of anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, cholesterol-modifying, and endothelial protective properties, backed by a clinical trial of this size and duration. Extra virgin olive oil is not a supplement. It is not a trend. It is the most thoroughly validated cardiovascular food in the world. 4 tablespoons per day is the evidence-based target. Use it as your primary cooking fat for low to medium heat. Drizzle it over salads, vegetables, fish, and legumes. Buy it in dark glass bottles and look for a harvest date on the label. Fresh olive oil contains significantly more polyphenols than oil that has been sitting on a shelf under fluorescent lights for months. Polyphenol content degrades with time and light exposure. When it comes to olive oil, freshness is the difference between medicine and just another cooking fat. And here is a timeline so you know what to expect. LDL cholesterol can begin to change meaningfully within 4 to 6 weeks of sustained dietary improvement. Inflammatory markers like C-reactive protein can improve within 2 to 3 months. Measurable changes in plaque, detectable by coronary artery calcium scoring or carotid imaging, typically require 12 to 24 months of consistent change. This is not a quick fix. It is a long-term investment that pays returns for the rest of your life. The close here is everything in one place, and I want you to screenshot this right now. Green tea to stop LDL oxidation, garlic to lower cholesterol and prevent calcification, walnuts to restore the artery lining, leafy greens to boost nitric oxide and open blood vessels, pomegranate to reduce existing plaque, wild-caught fatty fish to fight inflammation and stabilize plaque, and extra virgin olive oil to do all of the above, backed by the largest cardiovascular nutrition trial in history. 7 foods, all of them available in any grocery store, none of them expensive. And when you eat them together consistently, the combined effect is dramatically greater than any single food alone, because each one fights a different stage of the process that clogs your arteries. Green tea stops LDL from becoming dangerous. Garlic prevents that dangerous LDL from calcifying into permanent deposits. Walnuts maintain the artery lining so plaque has fewer places to attach. Leafy greens open the vessels and keep blood flowing even through narrowed sections. Pomegranate attacks plaque that has already formed. Fatty fish reduces the inflammation driving the entire process. And olive oil does all of the above, in one food, validated by the most rigorous cardiovascular trial ever conducted. That is a system, not a grocery list, a system. I want to be clear about one thing. If you have significant arterial disease, these foods do not replace your cardiologist, your medications, or your treatment plan. What they do is work alongside those treatments, strengthening the foundation that medical care builds on. Your doctor fights heart disease from the outside. These foods fight it from the inside, meal by meal, day by day, in a way that no prescription can replicate. And for adults over 60 who want to protect their arteries before a crisis happens, this is the most powerful dietary strategy that published science has to offer. Tell me in the comments which of these 7 foods you are going to add to your diet first. Tell me your age. Tell me whether heart disease runs in your family. I read every single comment, and your story might be the reason someone else finds this video and decides to make a change. If you are not yet subscribed, do it right now. Every week I bring you evidence-based health information designed specifically for adults over 60 who want to live stronger, longer, and on their own terms. Share this video with someone you love, because the next person who watches it might add one food to their plate tomorrow that keeps an artery open 10 years from now. And that is a gift you cannot put a price on. Until next time, eat well, protect your arteries, and never believe that heart disease is simply your destiny. It is not. It is a condition that responds to what you put on your plate every single day. Your arteries have been waiting for these foods. Start giving them what they need.